What's up, YouTube? Coming at you straight all the way out of California. I just wanted to make a video to show you the modifications that I did to my Maverick 88. As you can see, I think it looks pretty sick, or maybe it looks ridiculous, depending on your opinion. First of all, this is not loaded. Let's get that out of the way. So I got about 400 bucks worth of modifications that I added to this bad boy. So let's get started. Let's jump right in and see what I got. This is obviously the Maverick 88. This is an 18.5-inch barrel model. I added the quad rail by Black Ace Tactical. Ran me about 170 bucks. Took me about an hour or so to put on. It was somewhat easy. This is my first modification, so it took me a little bit longer than I expected. The directions were not very clear, but I got it figured out. So, but other than that, if you have any sort of experience doing modifications on any kind of firearms, you could probably handle it with no problem. I believe it did recommend to put some Loctite on this part right there. I've heard of some people having that come loose. I'm not quite sure I want to do that yet. The only bad part about it is that in order to clean this particular gun, you have to take off the whole quad rail, and that's kind of a pain in the rear. So I'm not quite sure that I'm ready to add any Loctite to that quite yet. We'll see. I haven't shot it yet, so we'll see if it gets loose once I take it to the range. This stock here, this is a Tac Star collapsible stock. It ran me about 80 bucks. I got it from Buds. That was really easy to put on. I also added a laser, a bull dot laser. Now, if you know anything about a bull dot laser, it's a little bit different than a regular laser because it's a lot bigger, and I think it's awesome. This is a UTG brand. Ran me about 57 bucks. This sling here, this is a Blackhawk sling. Got this for about 20 bucks. I believe it was on Amazon or something. The QD sling here with the Picatinny rail, I bought that separately. I bought a heavy duty one, and also there's one here. The whole came with the stock automatically, so all I had to do was just buy the the little attachment there. This one's a heavy duty one as well. I like the quality of this hook here. It's all really heavy duty. I don't really plan to go hunting with this thing, so but otherwise, if I were to take this out hunting or somewhere with this sling full of shells, it's going to start getting really heavy, including the gun itself. So you need a heavy duty sling there. So this tack light I got for about 30 bucks off of Amazon, I believe. It's pretty cool. It's a zoomable tack light. It's an LED light. It's very bright. Comes with a rechargeable battery and the pressure switch. I'm not gonna use this for tactical purposes, so I'm gonna end up taking off the pressure switch and just putting the normal backing of the flashlight on. This is more so just for looks, and if I was, say, using it in combat or something, I think it would be better suited on the other side. But I just put it on this side because based on the way that I store this, I store it like this, so I didn't want to put this on the other side and then store it, where the weight is resting on the tack light. So that's why I put that there. The shell holder here, this is a piece of crap. I only got this for like 13 bucks. There were some places that were trying to charge about 25, 30 bucks for it. It's totally not worth it. This is all just for looks. This is all cheap plastic here. It's very flimsy. Could easily come off, I could see in the long run. I tried to get an aluminum one just for higher quality, and the particular company that made it, for some reason they had stopped making it. And so all that was available as far as a top saddle was this cheap old plastic ones. They had, obviously ones you could put on the side. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to hide the look of that. And again, I'm not going to take this anywhere far other than the range, most likely. So I really have no need, even for these amount of shells here or an additional saddle. This is all just for looks. So that's pretty much it. This thing is pretty heavy. And so it adds, it's one of those things where you don't want to take it hunting or anything like that. But it's definitely a big boy gun. So we'll see how fun it is to shoot. I was kind of debating on the location of this laser here. I know a lot of people prefer it, sometimes on the side, at the bottom, or in the front. That's kind of a weird angle. I think eventually, most likely, I'm going to take this off. So I'm going to move this laser back and put it about right there. I think that's a convenient location. This particular laser does come with a pressure switch, but again, I have no use for a pressure switch. I feel like, if I'm using the shotgun and I'm pumping it, I feel like somehow the pressure switch is just going to get in the way. And so, I'm definitely going to remove this pressure switch once I take it to the range, and I'm sure as hell I'm not going to put a pressure switch on the laser. I just see that it's pointless. Yeah, that's about it. I love the look of it. It looks really sick in my opinion. Again, this is just to kind of a little project to see how ridiculous I can make it look. This is more of just a zombie killer type of shotgun, and like I said, it's very, very heavy. And so this wouldn't be ideal for like a woman or someone that's a man even that's not very strong to go and take this out. So the modifications total ran me about $400, which to some people I realize might be absurd since the firearm itself only costs about $200. I actually got it on sale at Dick's Sporting Goods several years back on a Black Friday sale, and I got it, I believe, less than $200 out the door. And so, the general goal of this was just to kind of make it look as ridiculous as possible, as tactical as possible. I'm from California, and so we can't have sexy AR-15s like a lot of you out there, so we have to find ridiculous things to do with our shotguns to make them look cool. Also, because of the pandemic situation, I'm on lockdown here, so I don't have a lot of shit to do. So I decided to modify the shotgun here. So it's very heavy. With all the additions alone, including the actual weight of the gun, my estimations lead me to believe it's about 11 or 12 pounds, which is, initially it's not heavy, but if you're carrying this thing around, it's going to get pretty heavy in a hurry, even if you're at the range. And so it doesn't bother me. Obviously, the benefit of it being heavier is you have less recoil, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, the quad rail itself, it initially started as me, wanting to put a heat shield on it. And so I started looking at heat shields, and then, I stumbled upon, I think first I looked at a Warhammer. I believe that was kind of hard to find. Then I stumbled upon the quad rail. And so the quad rail to me was pretty cool because, it acts as a heat shield, and it pretty much comes like all in one with the Picatinny rails. I could add, the laser sight and then the tack light. And so that's why I decided to go with the quad rail. Around about $170. It's okay. Again, it adds weight. It really depends. My recommendation on the quad rail really depends on what you use it for. If you're gonna, be carrying this around, all day, it's probably not the best idea. But for looks, I think it looks great. But I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. It's heavy, and with the shells, this is I believe 15 shells, and there's 5 shells on the top saddle, so that adds even more weight. So you're looking at probably a good 15 pounds at least. The stock is pretty cool because the stock is adjustable. I originally had a pistol grip. I wanted to keep the pistol grip, and the adjustable stock was pretty cool. If you have long arms, you could adjust it all about here. If you have shorter arms like me, you could do somewhere in here. I opted for a saddle, a shell holder on the top, because to be honest, I was, one day I was watching Terminator 2 and I seen Linda Hamilton in that scene, that last thing where she's trying to kill the T-1000. She has that Remington shotgun and she has like a shit ton of shells on the top. I'm like, that looks pretty fucking cool. Like, I want to do that. Plus, if I got a side saddle, I think it would look kind of ridiculous because it would obstruct the look of this tactical stock that I got here. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get a top shell holder for it. So that's kind of the origin of that. This is very flimsy. I might take it off eventually. It's so cheap, but it only cost me $12. Again, it's just for looks and stuff. So yeah, I love it. I think it looks pretty awesome. And there's a lot of people out there that probably thinks it looks ridiculous. Before I made this video, I went on YouTube and checked out, videos of other people that had the quad rail, and a lot of the comments, people were saying it looks ridiculous. And it just really depends on what you use it for. This is not my first line of defense at my home. If it was, I probably wouldn't have put it on in the first place because it's so heavy. By the time, intruder comes, tries to kick down the door or whatever, by the time you pull it out, it's just not realistic to add all this to it and expect to be able to pull it out in a relatively quick fashion to defend yourself or your family. I think this laser is fucking sick because it's such a fat laser, especially if you're like at a range or something. It just looks fucking badass. And then the mag light is pretty sick as well. Gets very, very bright. It's zoomable as well if you wanted to zoom in on your target. And so some people might say, hey, why did you put all this shit on your gun? And the simple answer is because I wanted to. I thought it looks fucking sick. I thought about replacing the fore end with the Maverick 88. In order to replace the fore end, you would have to replace, I believe it's called the slide tubing here. And so that would have ran, possibly close to like another $100 or so. And I just didn't really want to put in any more money in modifications to this. The gun itself only ran me about $200. And the modifications that I have on it right now, I'm at about $400. And so I'm already double the amount of mods that I actually paid for the gun. So I didn't want to get into replacing the fore end. It was just too expensive in my opinion. So yeah, overall I think it came out great. I love the look of the gun. It looks very mean and aggressive. It looks very tactical. This is just a hobby for me, so I had a ton of fun. This is really my first modification where I actually kind of built this. Everything from the quad rail to the laser to the sling to the individual QD sling attachment with the Picatinny rail attachment and so forth. And it was really, really fun. And so I had a great time doing this. With the attachment of the laser, it becomes a true kind of point and shoot type shotgun. There's always that argument where people will say you don't aim a shotgun, you point a shotgun. And others will say vice versa. I've always been kind of more of a pointer, and with the added laser, I could literally shoot from the hip without having to sit there and aim. And so that's just kind of like a personal preference. When I go to the range, like in the past, I've shot this. And I usually kind of shoot. I'm not the type to sit there and hold it up against my chest, which I know is probably more textbook shotgun shooting. I'm more of I use my strength or I shoot from the hip, and that's just more of a personal preference. And so the way this firearm is set up, particularly with the laser sight, it allows me to do that. And so some people don't see the need to put a laser sight on a shotgun. Again, it's all about personal preference, in my opinion, and I'm very happy with the way that it came out. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoys. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I'll definitely be posting more videos in the future as I can, and feel free to subscribe and also share this. And yeah, don't be an asshole in the comments. All right. Peace out from California. We love firearms just like you guys do.